People watching this or listening to this some of them will reel at what I'm about to say. I think fundamentally people come to gyms because they're not happy with the way they are and they want something to be different. Now, I don't mean in every case deeply unhappy, but the person who's got 10% body fat always wants 8% body fat. Whereas you've got other people coming in going, my health's really bad, my blood pressure's up, I've got movement issues. A lot of people come in and go, I'm not happy with the way I am and I want to be something different. Help me.
So welcome, Dr. Paul Bedford, to the Fireside Chat, Being Human.
Thank you, Nick.
This is weird because last time we interviewed each other, it was the other way around.
It was.
And 20 years ago, maybe?
I don't know.
It's got to be.
Yeah, but I know we were standing up.
We were standing up and we did one take.
And everyone was giving us the whole day.
Yeah.
And we just went, boom.
Yeah. No issue with that one. Let's see what happens today. So it's great to have you here, mate. I know we've been friends for a lot of years, but never had the chance to really sit down. It's always been work related.
Yeah.
And I think this is great opportunity to kind of go back through your journey and really understand kind of what motivates you now and what drives you. But first off, it'd be really good to understand, where did the love affair for retention really start? What enabled that? What sparked it?
Okay, so it didn't start with a love affair for retention. What it started with was a love affair for fitness and a curiosity around why do people start exercising and then stop. So it was all about exercise adherence and behavior change. And that is still, I would say, my number one passion, understanding how you help people make changes in behavior. But the retention element came out because no one wants to hire a consultant to improve exercise adherence, because operators want to improve retention, so the outcome, and generate more money. So it was a gradual shift into that as a topic, having studied how do you keep people exercising,
and so for the viewers, I think what you've just said is a really important part. Exercise adherence versus retention.
Yeah.
Let's just explain that here, right now, people get it.
Yeah. So exercise adherence is people sticking to the program that they were prescribed. Yeah. So if I say to you, your program is 3 times a week, 10 to 12 exercises, some cardio, some how often do you do that? Can I get you to stick to that program and maintain that program? Retention's more of an outcome. So if you stuck to exercise adherence, you'd get retention. So retention's an outcome. And when we look at retention, we look at it as a period of time. How long do I retain you for? And we measure it as time, months after join. For me, very clearly, exercise adherence is one thing. Retention is something else. Attrition is how many people left this month. Yeah. And so they're all interconnected. And the way I've often described it, it's a bit like a dashboard in a car, traditional car, where you've got your speedo, your rev counter, your fuel. They're all interconnected, but they're all telling you different things.
Perfect. Great analogy. I've not heard that one before.
Have you not
heard that one before?
Because you're busy doing podcasts, mate.
Let's go all the way back.
Yeah.
What was school like? What was childhood like?
Childhood was all right. There was no, my father's a plumber by trade. My mum was a school secretary. She was a legal secretary for a long time and then became a school secretary. I was thinking about this the other day. I probably spend more on my daughter per month than my parents spent on me per year, including birthdays and Christmas. So we weren't poor. We certainly weren't poor, but money just wasn't spent in the same way. Yeah. School, horrific. So I was part of an experiment, which sounds bad. I was part of an experiment because my birthday's in October. They had an experiment one year where they put kids who were oldest in, let's say, year 5 into year 6 a year early to see if they could keep up. And I couldn't. Which meant I really struggled with reading and writing, which I then carried right the way through my entire time at school. And I was one of those kids that was relatively quiet. I wasn't good. I wasn't bad. I was right in the middle, so I was left alone. But it did mean that when I did leave school, my mum ended up getting a second job to pay for a woman to come and teach me to read and write.
Right.
So I used to spend Saturday mornings as a 16-year-old at the kitchen table with a woman making me read Black Beauty, Robinson Crusoe, all the sort of the English classic stories, and learning how to write. And it for me, it was always an issue. And in fact, still, I'm a massive lover of PowerPoint because it hides the fact I still struggle to spell, or I'm anxious writing in front of other people.
Yeah.
So, but generally school was all right. It was just nothing. I didn't get a lot from school.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think even now, I mean, we've all got kids, and you mentioned something there that was quite interesting. It resonated because we were having this conversation about Aaron going to secondary school and the whole kind of you're really, really, really good, or you're really at the bottom, and all this middle ground get forgotten about, and not forgotten about, but there's definitely that element of they'll just be fine, and that's probably where you were sat. Albeit, I'm quite interested in the fact that we've done a few of these, and any leaders or kind of aspiring entrepreneurs or business owners. It's quite a running trend around school and the ability that maybe didn't do as well, or I could have done better, or I just hated it, or it was just not good for me.
Yeah.
I think that's quite interesting to see what you do now in your life as a business owner, but more importantly, the retention guru. You are well known around the world. To hear that, I think will probably give a wow moment to people.
Yeah, and look, I think what the result of the struggle I had at school was I carried forward a internal dialogue that was people like me, but they think I'm stupid.
Right.
And I carried that into my 30s.
Wow.
Right. And you would have known me when I was carrying that in my head. I still have lapses. I still have those days where I have those types of thoughts. But I think it was one of the things where, I was like, people like me. I got on with people. I'm really sociable. I ran, I worked in factories straight out of school and did worked on building sites and all the traditional, if you haven't got a qualification, here's the job you do. Until I got to the YMCAs, which, is part of a really significant part of my personal development. But I ran this thing of people like me, but they think I'm stupid. People like me, but they think I'm stupid. And I'd find any evidence I could to support that. But I also think, and I didn't realize it till I realized that's what I was telling myself. It's a bit meta, I'm sorry, but that probably was the drive.
Yeah.
The drive always constantly to try and prove to people I'm not stupid. I'm not a stupid person.
I find that fascinating that you had that in your head, because I would have never put that to what I know, Paul Bedford.
Yeah.
That was never something that I would have heard come out of your mouth. And that's quite an interesting way of you speaking about it. I find that a bit of a moment, if I'm honest. You've stumped me there a little bit, but I just think it's important that this is about understanding people and their human nature, isn't it? It's people look at people and they automatically assume. Yeah. Whereas I think we're very different. Yeah. I struggled at school. Yeah. Similar kind of process. It's only later in life that you really find where you're going. So you touched on YMCA. Yeah. And you mentioned it being a kind of moment in time. Yeah. Explain a little bit about what the YMCA brought to you and the life that that brought.
Just to preface that, in a 10-year period after leaving school, I owned and managed nightclubs somehow. In South London, on the types of events on the evenings we would do was really focused on not mainstream music. So punk, goth,
Wow.
hip hop, because that was alternative at the time.
Right.
Rockabilly, psychobilly, skinhead. And we used to have a real mix of people attend those evenings or those nights and stuff. And then during 1988, it became Summer of Love, Acid House. And that's when all the big drug dealers came in, the organised crime groups, and clubs got taken over. So I got rid of my business at that time. Went and lived in the US with my sister, who was already out there, had nothing to do, and started going to the gym every day. She said, when you go home, why don't you look at that as your next sort of career? So I came back. I did some very basic courses, which anyone who's been around the industry will probably remember NABBA, National Association of Bodybuilding. I did a baller, British amateur weightlifting course, because you had to do them. And I started working at my local YMCA as a volunteer because I was training there. And I just wanted to teach people. I was thinking, I want to share. I want to show people what I knew. And I worked with them as a volunteer for over a year and then got employed and so on. But I, at one point, was given the opportunity to go and study at Central YMCA and do their 2-week fitness instructor course. And I went and did it. And I would say it's the major turning point in my life.
Right.
I was tutored by someone we know both really well, Aaron Williams, which was my first, he's the only person I would consider of all the people I've ever met in the industry, a genius.
Yeah.
He's a true genius. I know some clever people. I know some bright people, really creative. He's the only one to me that stands out as unique. But he saw me on the course, watched me teach on the course, saw me in my exams, and afterwards went, I really like the way you engage with people. Would you like to come and join the team? And I was like, what, me? You're only saying this because you like me, but you think I'm stupid.
It's back to the...
But you like me because I'm good with people. And I sort of went back, and at the time I was doing a bit of part-time work for my dad as well, plumbing. And I said, I don't know what to do. And he said, give it a go. He said, and if it don't work out, he said, you can always come back and work with me or get another job. So I started doing some work at the YMCA as an assistant. They had a really strong process for developing tutors at the time, very much probably in the apprenticeship style. And I started working and teaching on the courses, absolutely loved it. And very quickly after that, got certified as a teacher. So I did what was called at the time my Cert Ed, became an adult education teacher. Again, my mind was running, everybody here's got a degree except me. I was the only non-degree person. But I built my skills and I set myself a target. I wanted to be a course director, which at the time would take you about 2 or 3 years to get there because this apprenticeship scheme. And I got there in 18 months and then didn't know what to do as the next goal. But the YMCA, 2 people who probably shaped my life significantly, Aaron Williams and Sonia Higgs. Sonia was in charge of looking after the tutors. She was the education side. She was the mentor from developing you as a person, and she absolutely changed my life. And then Aaron from the content side. How do you train? What do you train? Here's a new trend. Look at this. Pay attention to that. But interestingly, it was on the first day of the course he taught me to be a fitness instructor. He referenced a book by a guy called Rod Dishman called Exercise Adherence. And my curiosity had always been, how do you get people to stick to exercise programs? So I then, at the time, you had to order it, from the bookshop. You couldn't, there was no online because it was early 90s. I ordered this book from a place called Sports Pages, which is in Charing Cross Road, and devoured the book. And then as I worked with Aaron and I got to know Aaron more, he introduced me to neurolinguistic programming because he'd studied that. And the first thing I did psychology-wise was go off and study NLP. And I got really, really into it. And then my mind, because of, I suppose, the curiosity way I work is, NLP is derived from traditional psychology. Maybe I should go back and study traditional psychology. So then I went off and studied academically alongside working.
And that it fascinates me, because I think you are almost unlocking stuff along the way here.
Yeah.
And your brain's like, another compartment's opened, another doorway's opened. But I'm still got this little thing in my head saying I'm not good enough. But the doorways is getting bigger, and you're actually opening up to that. I actually can do this.
Yeah.
And by the way, Aaron Williams, total genius.
Total genius.
Total genius. God love him.
Yeah.
And I want to make this statement right here. God love Aaron Williams.
Yeah.
He definitely shaped me as well. And I know that we've got that mutual gift there of having time with him.
Yeah.
So that unlocked lots of things there, just in the sense of where you were going in your life.
Yeah.
Psychology obviously led you down a pathway.
Yeah.
I find that really interesting as well, that obviously your brain was really kicking into action. And you mentioned about school. I find this great because it triggers things. You meet people that trigger something else. It's not your journey.
No.
You have to find the journey.
Yeah.
Is that...
Oh no. I heard a thing the other day, a little while ago, and I use it as a parent. We are shepherds of our children, not engineers.
Yeah.
We can't design their lives for them. They have their lives, and we can shepherd them through that, trying to stop them making mistakes and keep them on the right track. We can't engineer their lives.
Yeah.
And I think, having sort of the self-doubt that I carried for so long is like, I try and find ways with both my kids to dismiss that self-doubt, or remove it, get them thinking other ways. And, it's harder being a parent to psychologically manage your child than it is to actually manage someone else's child. Yeah. But I use a lot of the things that I've learned over the years to help people develop, because I think innately I am a teacher. I want to teach, I want to share, and I want people to improve and get better. Because I think when I first joined the YMCA, one of the things I wanted to do, in fact, when I started training to be a teacher, my life goal was to change education.
Right.
So my big, hairy, audacious goal, whatever you want to call it, was... Because one of the things I realized once I was learning to be a teacher was they never teach you how to learn at school.
Yeah.
They don't teach you how to learn. They teach you information, and you have to try and figure out how to learn it on your own. Whereas I'm like, actually, why don't we teach them that actually one of the fastest ways to learn is to actually take a piece of information, make sure you understand it to the best you can, and then teach it to someone else. Because not only are you you're telling someone else, you're also telling yourself at the same time. And you have to be really clear when you're teaching someone else for them to get the information. But I think there are so many issues around schooling that are to do with tests, outcomes, and ticking boxes. Yeah. And I think the strongest education we ever had in the UK was before government got involved in managing it. When we used to have the 3 R's, which weren't 3 R's, but it's like when schools were run that way, I think we actually had a better educational system. Yeah. Now we have really good processes.
Yeah, I'm finding it constantly, all the time now. And I guess I'm probably alongside you as a teacher at heart. Yeah. I'd love to share, love to get people doing what they do.
Yeah.
But there is this element at the moment where we're process driven.
Yeah.
And I do think we're losing sight of what we set out to do.
I ended up leaving the YMCA because I felt I was being judged as a teacher more on my ability to complete the paperwork for a course than I was on the ability to generate good students. Mm-hmm. Have you given them 3 pieces of written feedback in the second week? Have you done this? Have you done this? A lot of the students I had went on to really good careers in the fitness industry for as long as they wanted those careers. And And I'd have operators saying to me, who's on your course this week? Who have you got that we could have? Because there was such a short supply. And that wasn't, I wasn't expecting that to be recognized, but that ended up being a detriment where it was like, oh, Paul hasn't done as much reading feedback as some of the other tutors. And like, what, you're judging me on that?
Yeah.
And in the end, I was just like, I don't like the way this is going. I can't cope. I'm off.
And do you think, I mean, loaded question, but has it got any better?
No. And I think you have to be mindful though. I think if either of my kids now wanted to come into the fitness industry, I'd be really scratching my head about where I sent them to do their education. They're not going to see and I think the problem with most students is the students don't know what a good example is. So they just take what they're taught. But I think a lot of the people who are teaching the courses don't know what a good example is.
Yeah.
So I think we've got this gap now where we went through, and I'm going to do, the timeline might be wrong, but the late 1990s, early 2000s, where the quality of courses was diminished because it was funded education. Let's get 18 to 23-year-olds through because we can make more money from them as an organization or as a business rather than the passionate people who wanted to come into the industry, who were career changers, or that's always what they'd wanted to do. And so I don't think I was talking to a lad last week who's doing his level 3 PT. He's never met his tutor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we used to run an 80. I'm not saying our courses were, as technical as they are perhaps now, but we used to run an 80-hour course over 2 weeks, and 40 of those hours was practical teaching observed by a tutor. And so the quality of that teaching, I think, was much, much harder. And I think I think it's a disservice we do now to the people coming into the industry that the quality is where it's at.
And I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because we'll always get labelled as, old school.
Yeah.
I actually think there's some evidence there to go back to old school. Because you mentioned there, communication was so key back then.
Yeah.
And I think it's fundamentally important now that we've kind of lost our way a little bit with that.
Yeah.
And communication is probably where, if I take you back to Paul Bedford at school, you got through that through communication because you were good at communicating.
Yeah.
Didn't really realize it at the time, but you just socialized really well. But communication comes out in so many people's ways. I worry now that we're letting AI and letting the tools that are affecting the digital world almost make us become lazy or lazier than we already are.
Yeah.
What's your take on that at the moment? I mean,
look, I think AI has my biggest thing is I think online PT will disappear.
Right.
And I think it'll be replaced by an AI avatar. And I don't know if you saw it recently at the Wimbledon. There's an AI avatar that's currently on Instagram. There's a young woman, and she is not real. She's a AI generated image, and it's generated in Wimbledon at the event. And she's going, here I am eating strawberries. Here I am with my champagne. Da, 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 da. She has 175,000 followers, and everybody knows she's AI. Yeah. Companies are now approaching her or saying, can you be our ambassador? Can you be our sponsor? Now, the technology's there to actually make that a video AI rather than stills that can answer straight away when you have a conversation with it with all the digital tools. On scale, someone who gets that right could have a Gymshark style avatar. This is your online personal trainer. They've got the whole internet to draw from for nutrition and training principles, and they could probably do it for £5 a month.
Yeah. It's quite frightening, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you've put it like that, for any of the PTs watching this, there's a whole lot of who I've met going down this online strategy, and but it's got a window. Yeah, it's like what you're saying. There's a window here where make haste. Yeah, because it isn't. it isn't forever.
Yeah, and I think if you like, I work with some companies that use AI, and we use AI daily in our business. It's not, you could program that avatar to only give positive or neutral feedback, no negative feedback. So there's no judgment.
Yeah.
And the fact that people understand, there was some research done, it was about 10, 15 years ago, where people would rather have an automated telephone message about their late payments rather than an agent ring them and say, oh, you haven't paid your gas bill. Because an automated message isn't judgmental, but it reminds you need to pay. Yeah. Where someone rings you up and go, oh, I'm phoning from British Gas and we've noticed you haven't made your payment. Suddenly you get protective or anxiety. Yeah. And you could, you can create an AI avatar that you can talk to. You don't even have to type. You just talk to them, they have a conversation back. And I was looking at some of the AI stuff that I follow recently, and it was showing that the AI was as good at reading emotional intelligence as people trained in reading emotional intelligence.
Yeah,
it doesn't understand what emotional intelligence is, but it recognizes it and feeds back in the same way.
It's just mind blowing.
Yeah,
and I know you're into this in the sense of keeping on top of it. What's next apart from us going off the face with online coaching?
Yeah.
What's next? What do you see around the corner in the future for certainly the world that we're in, leisure?
I think it'll, and I know this will be fairly repetitive if people have listened to me before, but that physical experience of being with a person, I think we will get periods where people go, actually, I want to disconnect from digital and actually have a human to human experience. The challenge with that is the quality of that human experience. I've always said that nothing beats a timely smile.
Yeah.
Smiling at someone walks in, you look and you smile at them, and like gave them recognition. That's a real person taking time to smile at you. If it was a robot, you'd know that the robot was programmed to smile at you. Yeah. And you can tell the difference. There's no difference in the actual smile, but it's like, actually, that person's made the effort to do it because they could have not done it, where the robot's going to do it every time. Yeah. I think there's going to be a lot less requirement for people to study exercise physiology and understand the programming, because I think most of our equipment's going to be able to do that for us. We're going to be able to stand on the treadmill and go, I want to do a 20-minute run. I want to simulate a run between Cambridge and Oxford, however ridiculously far that is, include all the gradients up and down. And the AI is just going to pull that out, do a GPS, go, yep, boom, here's your program. Yeah.
So the interaction becomes more important.
Oh, even more important, because I think it's where people will value that interaction. I heard, one of the comedians who died, he was on 8 out of 10 Cats. Sean Locke.
Sean Locke, yeah.
He said, when did it become a thing? He said, we used to go out to go shopping and stay in for a coffee. He said, now we go out for a coffee and stay in to go shopping.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, actually, if we're going out for a coffee, it's because we want to be out and we want to be socializing and we want to be. So I think more of that, I think some of the fitness industry will become more of that. Yeah. There will always be the utility part, which is just give me access. I want to go in, train, leave. I don't want to interact. And I think that's where the low-cost market will sit. But I think the mid-market and more premium clubs will be around, this is a club that I go to be with other like-minded people, which is what we always should have been.
It's in the name, right? Club.
Yeah, it is a
part of a club, a community.
Yeah.
I think we're on a full circle.
Yeah.
I genuinely think we're on that trajectory. How long it'll take, I'm not so sure. But I do see this desire to get back to human interaction.
Yeah.
And what tools we have now to what we had before should only help that journey.
Yeah.
Because it allows personally allows us more time to interact in the right way.
Yeah.
It should do.
But how bizarre is this? I was listening to a podcast last week, and it was actually about membership associations and products. And there was a woman who does a freelancers journal, a printed magazine for freelancers in the marketing creative sector. They also have a membership. And once a week, they do an online, now what did they call it? An online collaborative working experience.
Right.
I think that's what they called it, where basically all the freelancers who work at home on their own come online like a massive Zoom call and carry on working on what they're doing, just knowing everybody else is there at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's like going into a virtual office.
Yeah.
They're not having conversations, but I know someone else who's going through the same thing as me.
And it's psychological, isn't it?
It's wild.
It's psychological. And this must play so much into the world of how we interact with the teaching side of it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know we've talked about, you know, the journeys that we're on currently with how we try and help meet what you're saying. And we are finding traction again, which is great.
Yeah.
Because that's definitely showing that people are interested in this actual simple, let's get back to basics.
Yeah.
Let's start talking again.
Yeah.
And we might just actually have a bit of a journey going forward.
Yeah.
Because I've always said, anybody who comes to a gym or goes to an environment where it's experiencing something, at some point will want interaction. It might not be the first hour.
Yeah.
It might be the 72nd hour. Are we there to support that person right then?
And people watching this or listening to this some of them will reel at what I'm about to say. And I don't care.
Do I put a warning sign on that?
Nah, don't worry about it. I think fundamentally people come to gyms because they're not happy with the way they are and they want something to be different. Now, I don't mean in every case deeply unhappy, but the person who's got 10% body fat always wants 8% body fat.
Yeah.
Or 6% body fat. Whereas you've got other people coming in going, my health's really bad, my blood pressure's up, I've got movement issues, but I think a lot of people coming into gyms, so not everybody, but a lot of people coming in and go, I'm not happy with the way I am and I want to be something different. Help me.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a very different skill set.
Yeah.
To understand how you would interact with that person. Yeah.
Yeah.
The soft skills are so important in understanding how you navigate that journey with that person.
And if you think of it in, like, if I use the analogy of driving, at one level you've got people who are learning to drive, and at the other end you've got Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton. The conversations you have about driving with them are very different.
Yeah.
But they both want the same outcome. They both want to drive better.
Yeah. It's fascinating, Paul. The way your brain works blows my mind at times. Touching on blowing my mind, what would the now Paul Bedford, Dr. Paul, give to the younger Paul Bedford as a lesson in life?
Be careful what you say to yourself.
I love that.
Because the expression I use when I'm working with people is be careful what you say to yourself because your unconscious brain does not take a joke. If you go, I'm thick, it goes, yeah, you're right. If you go, yeah, I'm beautiful, it goes, yeah, you're right. It doesn't, the unconscious part of the brain just deals in statements. It doesn't interpret, it just goes, yeah, you're right. Yeah. So anyone who's going, oh, I'm really bad at maths, it goes, yeah, you're right, add this up. And you'll always get it wrong because you've told yourself you're bad at it. Yeah. But for me, it's always about be really careful what you say to yourself. Not to the point where, or sort of the contrary to that is like, it doesn't matter. You can be positive. That doesn't mean the outcome will always be positive. Yeah. But just be careful because if you go, I'm not sure, then you're not sure.
Yeah. A pause is sometimes the defining moment, right?
Well, I know recently that, you know, I don't say I don't collaborate well. I'm just not used to collaborating. And obviously my sister works with me, and she's worked with me for a long time in this business and in other businesses. So she's used to how I am. But I find myself very quickly, people will say, have you thought about doing this? And I go, no. And then 24 hours later, I go, no, it wouldn't be that, but it'd be this version of that. But I think it's a part of me is like I haven't got time to waste going down routes that I don't think will give me the outcome I want.
Yeah.
I feel like
you've already got where you want in your head.
Yeah.
It's how do I find that route?
Well, the interesting thing is and I was thinking about this last week, knowing I was coming here today, is like, I'm just getting started. That's how I feel.
Yeah. See, now we're talking.
Yeah, I'm just getting started. And it's like, I look at some of the things I've done, and it's only when I meet someone who's perhaps a friend from the past. I've got a really good group of friends that we've been friends over 30 years, and we get together quarterly. And the first thing we do when we get together is talk about the old days. Then we do old man stuff of like all the things that are annoying us now. And then we just chat around things. But it's when like this last month we did one, and a guy turned up, Dom, who I've not seen 30 years. Yeah. We all used to hang out together, and he's first time coming back in, and he goes, what are you doing? It's only when I describe to people what I'm doing and what I've done, I suddenly go, yeah, I've done all right. But in the moment, I'm looking forward, and I do have a challenge myself, whereas I don't live in the moment, I live in the future. I'm always, what's the next event? Where's the next peak engagement? What's the next project? And I really struggle to hold on to a moment.
It's really interesting because that came up on our last fireside chat with Tom. Yeah. He was in the moment.
Right.
Now, whether that's our age playing out a little bit, because I do think there's an element of, younger generation living in the moment, probably better than we would live in the moment. But I do think that's a lesson also for us who are a little bit older to grasp what's right in front of us, not necessarily what might be in the future. Yeah. We can see the future. Yeah. That's where we want to be, but what's happening right in the moment that we can be proud of. Yeah. I honestly, Paul, you should be wholeheartedly proud of what you've done. I think it's a hell of a journey so far. And like you've just said, it's just getting started.
I feel like I'm just getting started.
I love that.
And I just feel...
But that's the first time I've heard you kind of say that.
Well, I don't feel the need to say it.
Yeah.
I'm doing what I do. I love what I do. There are days when I don't, but that's just days.
Yeah.
But I look at things and I'll look at someone's business from a distance and go, oh my God, I'd love to work in that business because there's so much I think I could contribute. And being embedded in one business, there's so much we could do. Then on the other hand, it's like, that would drive me mad.
Yeah.
Because I like to I like to do variety. I love choice. I mean, it's a nightmare for me because it's them making a decision about what I actually do is really hard. I'll often work better if someone says to me, can you help me with this? Than if I go, right, what do I need to do?
Yeah, it's almost prescribed versus open-ended, isn't it? I think genuinely we're probably very similar in the sense that because of our backgrounds and history, you can tap into many things. Yeah. But finding that sometimes to just stay in the lane is really, really challenging. Yeah. What triggers you to notice that that's happening? How do you deal with that in the sense of staying in a lane or
overwhelm?
Okay.
Getting to those days where I'm just holding my head.
Right.
And not so much now, but I have had days where I'm laying on the sofa, fetal position, hand in head, going, stop talking. Because I talk to myself so much. I know we all do, but I talk to myself a lot. And then I have to be really mindful of what I say to myself because I just get too overwhelmed because I'm like, oh, we could do this and we could do this and we could do this. Or, right at this moment, we're planning for an event.
Yeah.
I've got someone else who wants to do an event with me at the end of the year. I've got projects that have come back up because I'm going, actually, we forgot to send you this. Could you just finish that off for us? But it's like 4 months ago. And it's like, where's my priority? What have I got to work on? And then someone goes, oh, there's a deadline for that. You need that by next Monday. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
But it's probably going forward, it's going to be, and I thought collaborating this year was a year where I sat down with Lynn and went, well, I'm going to do more collaborations. I'm not good at collaborating. I'm still not great at collaborating, and I don't think I ever will be, because I know what I want. And if you can support that, great. But if you can't, get out of the way. I'm too impatient now.
How are you finding it though? Because I know you might not be as great as you want it to be right here, right now, but how are you finding
it's
that
good.
purpose, that drive? Yeah.
Yeah, it's good, because it's very easy to be driven for me to do the same thing again and again and again. Even though I hate the repetition of it, it's easy to fall back in. So I've had an idea for something that I've wanted to do since the middle of COVID.
Right.
And I've not got round to it. And yet I've discussed it loads of times with my sister, loads of times we've gone through it. We know the structure, but it's like, it never seems to be the priority.
Yeah.
And I think
that's where collaboration happens, right?
Yeah.
That's the moment there.
Yeah. And I think I think also I get an awful lot of opportunities to do things. People say, oh, we'd really like to work with you on this. And some of them, it's really clear for me. You come to me and go, oh, we've put a Pilates program, reformer program together, and we'd really like you to help us with the education side of that. No.
Yeah.
Did that. I've got other friends that can do that. Someone else can do that. If it's not retention, if it's not behavior change and customer experience, I'm not interested. Not because I'm not interested, but no, it's going to take me too far away from what I like to do.
So what's Dr. Paul Bedford's why then?
So it's the same as it's always been. I believe it's possible for operators to make more money while giving members a better experience.
Okay.
And I don't think always members get the experience they deserve. Now, that's not always the experience members expect, but I think there should be an experience they deserve. And that'll be different across different elements of the fitness industry. I wouldn't expect a low-cost operator to have high engagement, lots of staff. It's just not the business model. But if you are going to have staff, get the right staff. Get them doing the right things, not just, oh, I need a body, So it's because I do think the members could be, because I think people, if you think about our industry, how many people every year self-prescribe, I want to join a gym.
One sat right here, right?
We just go, do you know what? I'm going to join a gym.
Yeah.
And yet I don't think, even after I've been in the industry over 30 years now, I don't think we've still got it right how we deal with them when they first come in.
Yeah.
And I know you'd be interested in that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're definitely interested in that, and I do think it's probably just bringing light on it again. It's not about a program. And Keith, our friend, will always say this, and I think you'll agree. How you make someone feel is more important than their membership package.
Yeah.
How you make them feel is crucial, and it's not just the first time. It's the second, third, fourth, fifth.
Yeah.
Every single time they walk through a door, how are you making them feel? Yeah. And I think that's the key part of what's being missed a little bit at the moment.
The thing I think of it is like plate spinning.
Yeah.
And all your members are plates, and you're spinning these plates, and some of them need spinning a little bit more than others, and others can be left for a while before you have to go back and spin them. So it's not, you have to have equal amount of experience every single time you go, but you have to have enough that is that was enough to get me to come back for the next one.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's a look and a smile.
Yeah.
And it's not a conversation. Other times it's don't trade today. Come and sit with me for 5 minutes and have a coffee. Now, I know we don't have the luxury of that in really large sites because of the volumes, but it's finding the equivalent of that.
Yeah. And I do think there's lots of time in there that is available.
Yeah.
We've just got to be smarter with it.
Yeah.
And use it more effectively.
Yeah.
Let's talk leadership for just a couple of minutes. What would be the advice to any up and coming leader within leisure or any sector, to be honest,
Yeah.
what's the piece of advice that you would give, to a young entrepreneurial leader?
Get a mentor.
See, I love that.
I didn't even wait for you to finish your
Wait till we
sentence.
finish. It was straight in there.
Get a mentor. There are people who've run businesses who may not have run the same type of business or may have run the same type of business that have had the experiences and can point you in the right directions. Don't get caught up on this. This is the thing to stay focused on. Now, you obviously still have to have your own direction of where you want to go. But, I've got friends who run clubs, both like traditional health and fitness clubs and martial arts clubs and so on. And I watch some of them and I'm like, why have you done that?
Yeah.
Because it turns them on in the moment. I've just watched someone buy some very sophisticated equipment and I'm like, why have you bought that? You need to get more members in rather than worry about buying timing gates.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I mean timing gates for speed. I don't mean get access control. And I think some of the best learnings I've had is through mentorship. Certainly at the YMCA, certainly through a program that I did for business, which was a mentor-based program. But it's you can save a lot of time, effort, and heartache if you've got somebody that can go and make you accountable. What are you doing this week? What are you doing this month? How are we in that direction? Oh, I know someone who can help you with that.
Yeah. I find it fascinating, Paul, because how many people would we know who would see that as a failure?
Yeah. Yeah.
Get a mentor.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do that. I failed.
Yeah. No. The brightest people have mentors.
See? And that's why it's important being human, right?
Yeah. And I think for me, like times in my career where I've struggled is actually when and I'm thinking about this now as I'm talking to you, is when I've not had someone to help me with direction.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I think that's one of the greatest things I've heard doing this is actually, because we've had a couple of people on who've had a mentor, but that moment just then where you've talked about get a mentor is fundamentally the best piece of advice in any leadership role, any entrepreneurial role, because to your point, there's plenty of people out there that have either been through it, observed it, experienced it, got an idea, just talk about it, just get it off the chest, understand what you can do and how you can do it, and not see it as a failure by asking someone. That for me is like a no-brainer.
I had a really nice experience last year. I was working abroad. I was working in Europe with a major operator, and we had a whole senior management team in the room, and we'd just done a retention analysis on their whole business. And I'd gone through, and they were all sitting there going, like mouths open, going, you're telling us more about our business in 10 minutes than we've understood for years. And the CEO said at partway through the afternoon, because we sort of done all the data stuff and then we were talking about strategy and tactics and things like that. He goes, I love having you in the room, Paul. He said, it's like having the font of all knowledge in the room with me and I can ask you any question you like. I went, well, you can, as long as it's to do with retention and attrition and management. But it made me feel at the time, it was nice to be in that role of the mentor. With people who I really, really respect because they've got really successful businesses. But they've never had that experience that I've had, and we're sharing that.
That's a sound piece of advice, Paul, and I think it's one of those moments where I hope people listening react in the positive way about that and not go, oh well, we shouldn't do that. No, do it. Just do it. What's your main values that you look for in people, whether you're working with them, whether it's just in normal life? What's the values that you're looking for in people that you want to work with or want to be around?
How do I frame this? Trust is one. And when you've lost my trust, you've lost it forever. I'm really not very good with reconciliation. Ability. as long as you've got the ability to do what you're saying you're going to do, I'm happy with that. I'm not expecting more, but if you say you're going to do something, I expect you to do it. Yeah, sort of trust and ability. So honesty, those types of things. I'm a really good friend. So I heard this. So the expression is good friend, bad enemy.
Right.
Right. There's a documentary about a record producer, film producer called not Jimmy Ivey. He is one of Steven Spielberg's partners in DreamWorks.
Right.
And I can't remember his name, but he's brutal in business. And they said, if he's your friend, he will back you to the hill. If he's your enemy, kill yourself.
Not worth it then, is it?
And I'm like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, that I don't have huge groups of friends. I know lots of people, like lots of acquaintances, friends, really good friends, very few. Trust them implicitly. They're honest with me. They'll tell me what they think. They'll challenge me. And that's what I look for in people. I suppose very traditional type values, but I can't proceed without it.
Yeah, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. But I think trust is a key ingredient that we, I think, have lost a little bit in the sense of, it's becoming harder to trust people.
Yeah.
Because they're basically saying, oh, we can do everything for you, or we can do this, or we can do that, or, and it's almost a sale.
Yeah.
That they're looking for, rather than actually building a partnership or building a collaboration. Yeah. And that trust is one of the key parts.
Because I've studied so much psychology.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in behavior change, and I've taught behavior change and communication patterns, and the workshops we've done stuff together. I can see through people really quickly. Really quickly. And I don't mind if someone comes to me and says, I want to work with you because you've got a really good following and I'd like to tap into that following. I'd rather they say blatantly that than go, oh, I think us working together will be mutually beneficial. And I'm like, no, you don't.
It's a turn off, right?
Yeah. It's like, no, you don't.
Mate, it's listen, I think we could keep just talking all day long. And I think there's probably a part 2 coming up.
If you want.
Sooner or later. But the journey is just getting started.
Yeah.
It's just getting started. Dr. Paul Bedford, thank you for joining us on Being Human.
You are welcome.